Hello and welcome to Tea Time. Today with me, Chaiti Narula. We're right here at JP Greens at Greater Noida. Of course, a very picturesque golf course indeed. On the show today, it is sports management and sports marketing that takes center stage with one of the pioneers of sport management in this country, Procam International. Joining me today on the show is Vivek Singh, the Joint Managing Director of Procam International. And of course, they have had rather a very good success in reinventing the wheel as far as sports is concerned in India, whether it is hockey, whether it is football, rugby, water skiing, horse racing, and the list is endless. What stands out of the pack for Procam definitely is the Standard Chartered Mumbai Marathon, the Airtel Delhi Half Marathon, and the Tata Consultancy Services World 10K, of course. On the show today, sport management, of course, takes center stage. On the show this week, we have Vivek Singh, Joint Managing Director, Procam International.
Today we are so proud to see that little journey, that step that we took in 2004 has in 2014 resulted in probably the biggest marathon in the world, which is New York, being sponsored by an Indian company.
And in news, Jordan Spieth wins the Australian Open and Anirban Lahiri finishes joint second in the King's Cup. Welcome to Tea Time.
Thank you.
Good to have you on the show, and thank you for taking time out and being right here with us today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be, and what a wonderful day.
I know. So let's tee off with the Procam story now. Your brother Anil started Procam years ago, of course, and back then it was a concept which was way ahead of its time, and then you were brought into the company as well. How did this entire story come into being of Procam International? Today, of course, it stands out of the pack with all that you have developed in terms of the sporting properties that we see.
Yes, it's actually been quite a wonderful and challenging journey. Anil and myself, we started Procam way back in '88 when sports management did not exist as an industry. And since then, there have been so many different, wonderful achievements that Procam has actually. And one of the major achievements was actually creating this platform called the sports management industry, on which so much could be done. Sports was being done in a very, very ad hoc way, in the sense that there was no focus on what the brand connect is. There was no focus on what the return on investment can be. So if the chairman of a company liked a particular sport, then he sponsored it, irrespective whether he made soaps or he made something else. So actually Procam brought in that professional aspect and said, no, it's an industry. So we laid the seeds and the foundation for that, and that has paid great dividends by that.
So back when you all started, what was sport really like? I mean, there was no method to madness, there was no construct that you all followed, there was, it was a concept unheard of, and when you came up with this whole thought, how did people around you react to a thought like that? Was it accepted that you are going to be financially viable at some point in your life with an alternative career choice like that?
You know, if they had told us how difficult the journey would be and how challenging, I don't think Anil and me would have stayed on in it. Fortunately, nobody told us, because nobody knew what we were dealing with. And I think Anil's father-in-law summed it up very beautifully when we explained the whole vision to him. Anil explained the whole vision to him, and we said, this is what we intend to do. And he said, this is great, but along the way also do some work. So I think that summed up the kind of mindset that existed when, when you talked about sports management.
And back in 2004 is when you thought about the Mumbai Marathon, of course, after coming back from London Marathon, if I'm not mistaken. Was it one of those stories where people are not laughing, rather, you're not dreaming big enough? I mean, the rest, as they say now, is history. We know what you've done with it. But how is it conceptualizing a property like this?
So we had already been in sports for about 16 years by then. So we started in '88, and we had already been in sport for 16 years by then. So we had done various things, and we had actually become quite battle-hardened in many ways. And then Anil had this dream of seeing a large city marathon in Mumbai.
Right.
So we traveled to London, And we both went, and we were guests of the London Marathon, and we actually saw it very, very, very close and personal. And that's where that wow moment happened, because on that start line of London Marathon, I'll never forget, it was 2003, and we saw people, ordinary people, lawyers, doctors, mothers, fathers, grandmothers. But at that moment, they had a look in their eyes which said that I'm an athlete. I have a goal. I have trained for this goal, and I intend to complete it. And if I complete it in the time that's allotted to me, or I've set myself as a target, I'm going to win this race. And when we saw 30, 40,000 faces like this, we said, this magic has to come to India. This magic has to come to Mumbai.
A bold vision that was realized.
And yes, because when you're dealing with a subject like the marathon, it's not just the challenge of finding sponsors to believe in or take that leap of faith. It's about finding the whole city, the whole macro environment to believe in suddenly. So Standard Chartered Bank were great visionary sponsors. And they had some experience of doing marathons in other continents and other cities. So they came forward. That made the first step possible. And then, slowly, the city started coming online. And then Standard Chartered discovered that what Procam was asking was something incredible, because they said, listen, India is not a running market. We need to start small. We need to seed it. We need to see how it grows. And we said, no, we can't start small. We can't seed it. We've got to do the largest marathon in Asia in year one. So it was a huge amount of to and fro. Finally, they agreed to back our vision, and the Standard Chartered Mumbai Marathon 2004 was born. And that has led to a running revolution in the country. Airtel came in with Airtel Delhi Half Marathon. Tatas are involved with the Tata Consultancy Services. Today, we are so proud to see that that little journey, that step that we took in 2004, has in 2014 resulted in probably the biggest marathon in the world, which is New York, being sponsored by an Indian company. It's called the TCS New York Marathon.
Yeah, right. No, interesting. I mean, of course, I'm going to come back to your marathons as well, because you've added 2 more to that ambit as well. But, you know, before that, let's focus a little on how difficult it is for you right now, or any company like you for that matter, to get India incorporated investing into sport today. Do you think we can give a bit of a boost and acceleration to sport management today if more and more companies came into being and started supporting sport as well? Is enough being done today by companies in India?
I personally feel that companies are doing a lot. I have a deep debt of gratitude to India Inc. I feel the challenge is not to get more companies. Of course, that is a constant process, and it will grow organically. More and more companies are seeing the value of investing in sport and sporting properties, and they will continue to do so. I feel the challenge is the other environment factors, like the federations maybe. The accountability there is sometimes lacking. So I think it's I don't see companies shirking away. In fact, I see India Inc. has been fabulous in this department, and they're putting their right foot in. They're coming in. Look at where we are standing. This is such a huge belief and a statement for the Gore family and the JP family to do this.
Absolutely.
So I'm not seeing that in any way India Inc. is shying away from anything. It's just that the environment in which they're investing, which is the sporting environment, needs to get a little more conducive, a little more transparent in certain cases, a little more accountable in certain cases. And if that happens, this investment is happening and will continue to grow.
All right, on that note, I'll tee off and we continue discussing. Thank you. Well, on that note, it's a good time now for us to take a quick breather right here on TeeTime. And when we return, we stay in conversation with the Joint Managing Director of Procam International, Vivek Singh, and we throw some light on the 2 new properties they're just launching, the Ahmedabad and the Calcutta Marathon. Stay with us. Well, thank you for staying with us on TeeTime, and welcome back. We're still in conversation with the Joint Managing Director of Procam International, and we are discussing, of course, the business of sport. Now, Talking about the marathons, we obviously discussed the Mumbai Marathon and how it came into being. Then you had Delhi come up. Then you had the Bangalore World 10K, which is also a very prominent one in your ambit. Now you've gone and launched, or rather are launching, Ahmedabad and Calcutta as well this year itself.
Yes.
What prompted you to come up with 2 more?
You know, Procam is in a very fortunate place at the moment.
Right.
And this running revolution that has actually caught on and
Right.
spreading throughout the country is making great demands. And it's saying that why not us? So almost every city is coming back to Procam and saying why not us? So it's not about doing a run in every city. It's about creating a property that can have its own mark on the international stage, a property
Right.
that can be aspiring for the running community that is growing here. So with that vision, like you correctly said, we've now added the Tata Steel Kolkata 25K and with Reliance, the Ahmedabad 15K.
Right.
So the idea is not just to create a run in each city, but to create world-class properties and properties that will keep servicing this growing community of runners in terms of the aspiration of being a part of it, of finishing it in a certain time, of running in the footsteps of the greatest athletes in the world, you know, having television exposure and everything that goes with a international event.
So now, apart from distance running, which is the reason why you launched these, there's also a huge CSR aspect attached to marathons in India. It's a movement now. I mean, I don't think any other sport contributes that much to charity, I mean, on such a large scale as much as your properties do today.
You're absolutely right. The marathons are probably the largest fundraising platform in India today.
Yeah.
And Anil and me were very clear that there were certain pillars that we put in the ground before the first event happened. And charity was a very big pillar. International pride and prestige was another, health and fitness, communal harmony, and a boost to Indian athletics. So when you talk about the charity pillar, we are cause agnostic. You have hundreds of charities using this event to raise funds and awareness for themselves. You have thousands of people running for a cause that's close to their heart. We never dictated to people that you should run for this and this cause is good and not. And this created this philanthropy gateway where charities have plugged into, where corporates are running for causes, people are running for causes. It's been something so fabulous that you're running your run, you got your exhilaration and things, but you're also at the back end of it doing something for the less privileged. Yeah.
Absolutely, very interesting. Now, are these properties a high margin business for Procam? Of course, I'm guessing they are, considering you've launched 2 more. I mean, if you were bleeding on them, you wouldn't have, right? In terms of business, in terms of pure business.
Yes, that was the least of our concern, because these are long gestation properties.
Right.
Marathons do not make money from the start. Typically, your outlay and the way you do things will in most cases be more than what you're getting from your sponsors.
So what would your gestation period be?
It's 3 to 5 years.
Oh, really? So
It's 3 to 5.
you saw the light of the day in terms of profits after 5 years of the Mumbai Marathon?
After 3 to 5 years. And then they actually grow into something which become profitable, and they become something which is sustaining,
Right.
etc. So yes, it has a gestation period. But having said that, no complaints. By the grace of God, we're doing okay.
You know, there's something just off the cuff that just comes to my mind right now while talking to you. We're in a country which is crazy about cricket, where cricket is almost a religion. How about the other sports? How difficult it is for you to be able to develop these properties, sell these properties, and, you know, even grow them and take them to the other level, when the entire country blindfoldedly, like a horse with blinders, is talking only about cricket?
You know, that is not entirely true. Yes, of course,
really?
cricket is a very large sport, but you'll be surprised to note that it is not the only sport by very far. There are
Right.
so many passionate followers of so many different sports in India. In fact, in the domestic circle, cricket was not even in the top 5 sports till the IPL came along. People did not go to cricket stadiums to watch the domestic leagues. That was a fact. Yes, IPL has changed that. You watch your domestic players in IPL today. But sport has had a wide following here, whether it be football, whether it be hockey, whether it be horse racing, which has a huge and loyal fan following. So sport has had its following. There is a perception that is built with television and of course sponsorships and commercial that cricket has this, but it is a very large sport. It is the 800-pound gorilla for sure in the ring, but there are many sports thriving and there are many passionate sport followers in this country.
All right, and capitalizing on those sport following, of course, is Procam International. We're going to take a quick break on that note and stay in conversation with Vivek Singh. On the other side, we discuss return on investment and return on effort as far as sport is concerned. Stay with us. That's lovely. Thank you for staying with us on Tea Time and welcome back. Now, we were discussing marketing and we were discussing marketing spends. Now, companies love to lend their names to sporting teams, and marketing has become a very important tool in the $100 billion world of advertising as well. Would you agree with me?
Yeah, marketing is, of course, very nice. You can't do without marketing today,
Right.
and companies have realized the power of a sporting event
Right.
to deliver on their marketing objectives. And I think personally it's beyond just ROI. It's beyond return on investment in terms of print, media, or the internet or television. I think it's gone. They appreciate the emotional equity that sport can bring to a brand,
Absolutely.
that sport can bring to a service, that sport can bring to what the company stands for.
Right.
Look at the Standard Chartered campaign. It's here for good.
Yeah.
It doesn't talk about banking or finance. It talks about here for good. And the marathon exemplifies here for good. Let's talk about Tata Consultancy Services. It's about experience certainty.
Sure.
So, you know, if you look at that, you suddenly these large corporations and companies and marketing people are finding that sport can deliver that edge to their product or that edge to that service which can make them stand out.
You know, your brother and you are very well known to create brand stories out of these sporting properties that you all create. How do you really justify the return on investment and the return on effort and create that brand story through properties that you develop, which are your intellectual properties per se? I mean, it's a very large question.
No,
I know that. I mean, it's
fair enough. You know, return on effort, I don't think you can, when you're passionate about something, you know, there is no quantification of the effort put in.
Right.
So I think the return on effort has never been something that we have, you know, said, okay, we're going to put in so much and get so much out of it. It doesn't work like that. To answer the first part of your question, I believe that as far as return on investment goes, that's very clear. I mean, the companies are getting back a lot. In various forms, and whether it's
Right.
hard mileage forms or emotional equity like we discussed, whether it's PR, whether it's goodwill, whether it's a brand feel, whether it's a messaging feel, so they're getting back. And I think what has been special is that Anil and me have stayed true to that passion that we
Right.
had when we got into this industry, when we started Procam. That passion, that madness, that craziness that made us get and choose sports management
Right.
27 years ago when it was not an industry. I think somehow we've stayed true to that spirit. And staying true to that spirit has helped us build this enterprise.
What is your message now to angel investors, to private equity players, to, you know, people who want to go out there and give you seed capital to start a sport management company today? Sports management, consultancy, marketing, etc. Is it a viable business opportunity today in India? Is there room for more players in the market today?
It's fabulous. My message is come right in. For the next 10 years, sports is a sunrise industry.
Really?
It's going to grow in different ways. It's going to grow, it's going to mature, it's going to evolve. So my thing is come right in, and you know,
Really?
there are so many good promoters here, so many people with such entrepreneurial energy and zest, and they could do with investment, they could do with somebody showing that faith that, hey, we believe in what you're doing. Because that's what really hurts the most, is sometimes when you have a great idea, you have a great concept, but people don't believe in it, don't have the faith. So an angel investor or a VC or whatever you want to call it coming in and putting that seed capital, what does it say? It's not about the money. It's the fact that we believe in what you're doing. We have faith in what your story is.
Right.
And that can move mountains.
Interesting. Now, Vivek, you're coming back on the green after many
Yes,
years, isn't it?
Yes.
How does it feel being back?
I mean, like I kept saying, I want to hit more shots. It was
I
wonderful
know.
to be back here. But golf is a jealous mistress. It takes up a lot of time, and that's something which as you kind of mature on, you kind of have more premium to. So I don't know when I'm going to come back full time, but it was great to be here, really.
All right, let's finish our game. Come. All right, so Vivek, let's discuss.
It's a great shot.
Thank you so much. Yours as well. So now let's discuss your temperament now. Despite being in such a high pressure environment all the time with the hustle and bustle and the push and shove of your office and the events and this and that, you still seem to be always composed. You're always connected. You always have the gentle smile on your face, and everybody who meets you always takes back this positive vibe which you tend to exude. I mean, where does this composure really come from?
I think it comes from my practice.
Right.
So I think I'm a devotee of the art of living.
Oh, really?
And I do my practice regularly, and I think that brings out a certain sense of calmness and composure in anyone who does that.
Lovely. Do you find golf meditative at all, back of course when you were actively playing it?
Any sport or any activity,
Right.
when done with 100% concentration, becomes meditative.
Right.
So when your mind can blank out everything else and just focus on the present moment, that is meditation.
Interesting. No,
So,
of course,
and that happens
of
in
course.
golf,
It
that
could
happens
happen anywhere.
in anything.
Yeah.
So when everything else disappears and the mind becomes completely centered on the present moment, that's meditation, and that kind of really deeply relaxes and frees you.
All right, on that note, thank you so much, Vivek,
Thank
for
you.
being here with me on the green. Lovely having you on the show.
It's been a privilege, it's been a pleasure, and thank you for getting me out here back onto a golf course.
All right, lovely. All the best with the Calcutta and the Ahmedabad chapter of distance running as well.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
With that, it's a wrap from me, Chaiti Narula, on TeeTime. I'm going to see you next week again, same time, same place, with an entirely different guest from a different sector altogether. Until then, as cliched as I may always sound, enjoy the flight of a good drive, and may the sport be with you.